Well, if you want to know how bad Kamala's campaign is tanking, you need look no further than what's making its way back into the headlines. I kid you not, the Democrats are bringing back Russiagate. Oh, you literally can't make this stuff up. Russia is back on the front page. We're going to see what's really going on with the latest Russian collusion hoax and what it actually admits about the fledgling Kamala campaign. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you stay sane in these insane times. So make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. You're not going to want to miss a single episode where we analyze the latest polls and trends as we march towards November. Plus, you get a front row seat on all the amazing things that are happening all over the world for conservatives. So make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Before we dive into the latest desperate gimmick coming from the deep state Democrats, let's talk about something revolutionary that's taking over the wellness space: flavored air. Let me introduce you to Fume. Now, we all have those habits that aren't doing us any favors, but what if I told you there's a better, healthier alternative that's actually enjoyable? Well, that's where Fume comes in. Fume is an award-winning flavored air device that's all about helping you replace old bad habits with something fresh and guilt-free. Think of it as a delightful herbal tea for your mouth with flavors like crisp mint and orange vanilla. Now, it's not a vape, just pure, non-toxic flavors that are easy to enjoy anywhere. One of the best things about Fume is how it fills that void. You know, when you're trying to leave a bad habit behind, but you still want something to reach for? Well, Fume's got you covered. Fume is backed by real doctors here in the USA, and they've already served over 300,000 customers. And if you use my code SteveTurley, you'll get a free topper. It's the perfect accessory to your Fume device. So head on over to tryfume.com. That's tryfume.com and use code SteveTurley, or scan the QR code on screen to get your free Fume topper when you order your Journey Pack today. Don't wait. Make the switch today and take another step toward making America great again. Just 62 days before the election, and the Justice Department, the department so ably headed by the champion of truth and justice himself, Merrick Garland, has announced criminal charges against 2 Russian nationals and the seizure of dozens of web domains, all in an effort to, quote, tackle Russian efforts to influence the 2024 election. That's right, gang. It is 2016 all over again. The Russians are back, and they're here to steal another election from the Democrats. It was reported that Merrick Garland said at the press conference, "How dare Vladimir Putin try to interfere in our elections? That's my job." What the hell do you think I've been trying to do these last several months? I mean, how do they even remotely expect us to take this seriously, given what old Merrick and the Justice Department have been doing to President Trump over the last 2 years? Regardless, the Justice Department is accusing various Russian public relations companies of attempting to, quote, promote disinformation in state-sponsored narratives as part of a campaign to influence the 2024 U.S. presidential election. Now, this announcement comes on the heels of a similar announcement just weeks back that Iran was behind a hack and leak operation of the Trump campaign. They also allegedly tried to hack the Biden-Harris campaign but failed. According to the FBI, the hacking was intended to influence the U.S. election process. And then prior to that, back in April, the utterly incompetent Secretary of State Anthony Blinken accused China of, guess what? Yeah, that's right, trying to interfere in our elections. It's fascinating. Our media, our State Department, our Justice Department, I mean, they're all blaming election interference on everyone and anyone other than themselves. They're the only ones that are utterly pristine and entirely innocent of even the thought of election interference. Now, interestingly, a number of conservative media influencers were conveniently named as part of this Kremlin-funded attempt. The Tennessee-based media company Tenet has reportedly received $10 million from employees of the Russian state-backed media company Russia Today, which, in full disclosure, I've appeared on occasion. But apparently, Tenet Media had received several $1 million from RT in an effort to get their influencers to push pro-Russian propaganda. Among those influencers, the Department of Justice listed Tim Pool, Benny Johnson, Dave Rubin, and Lauren Southern, who the indictment makes absolutely clear had absolutely no idea whatsoever they were taking part in this in any way, shape, or form. And by the way, even if they did, even if they knew they were getting paid to push pro-Russian talking points, many are pointing out, so freaking what? That's not illegal. Influencers get paid all the time to push talking points. The entire Democrat Party does that every single day. Now, some are pointing to something called FARA, that's the Foreign Agents Registration Act, and they're claiming that had these influencers knowingly been peddling pro-Russian talking points, they would have been in violation of FARA. But again, a number of legal experts see that as patently absurd. Robert Barnes, for example, is pointing out that applying FARA here would end up indicting influencers pushing pro-British talking points peddled by the BBC. Right? That's basically what Russia Today is. Russia Today, RT is the Russian version of the BBC. Or look at it from another angle. David Sachs is rightly asking the question, so when do we get to see who's on Ukraine's payroll? I bet there are some much bigger names than podcasters. You mean like Joe Biden? Hunter? And as if things couldn't get even more absurd, there are now reports that Vladimir Putin is openly endorsing Kamala. I kid you not. Right on the heels of this report, Putin has come out totally trolling this whole thing. He is openly endorsing Kamala, citing particularly how much he loves her laugh. This is looking more and more like a Monty Python skit by the hour. Here's Molly Hemingway of The Federalist on how utterly and comically absurd this Russiagate 2.0 is.
It is striking, and all of it is disconcerting that foreign governments would try to meddle in our U.S. elections. What's particularly problematic, though, is our Department of Justice and FBI are the least credible people to talk about this, given the information operations they ran against the American people with their Russia collusion hoax, with their cover-up of the Hunter Biden laptop in which they lied about the situation and claimed that it was Russian disinformation and used that to censor American speech, even the first impeachment. The Department of Justice and FBI, there are consequences for those information ops they ran against the American people. And we do need protection from some of these foreign governments meddling in our elections. But we also need protection from our Department of Justice, FBI, and other intelligence agencies who are doing the same.
I knew it'd be good to end with you, right? You were ready to go on that one. All right, thank you.
Yeah, that was brilliant. And what Molly Hemingway just said there, I think, highlights two big takeaways for me in all this. Two takeaways. First and foremost, what's so key in all of this is how much it continues to reveal how the deep state and the Democratic Party have aligned with one another. I mean, there really is a political realignment happening in our nation, right? We talk about it every day. But it's not just Kennedy and Trump. It's not just the populist left aligning with the populist right. The other side of that alignment is the Democrat Party aligning with the deep state establishment, whether in the form of indictments against Trump and the lack thereof against Hillary on the one hand, or accusations of Russian interference in an election that Democrats lost and are about to lose on the other. The powers that be in Washington, D.C. are always on the side of Democrats. The Democrat Party is now officially the party of the establishment, the ruling elite, the permanent political class, the class of bureaucrats and billionaires who are amassing an unprecedented amount of power and wealth in the hands of very, very few. This latest scam by the Justice Department is yet another indicator of that alliance. But secondly, and perhaps most importantly, this desperate Russian collusion hoax reveals just how badly Kamala is tanking in this election. Now, if you haven't seen it yet, you want to check out my first video today where I got into all the data on how badly Kamala is doing right now. But this is just a further corroboration that even the deep state recognizes that the candidate is collapsing. I mean, think about it. This isn't hard. Just think about this for a second. Why on earth would they be questioning the integrity of an election that Kamala was poised to win overwhelmingly? Just compare what they're doing now with what they did back in 2020, when they claimed that 2020 was the single most immaculate, pristine election ever conducted in the history of humanity. Not a shred of Russia. I'm sorry. That's right. I almost forgot. The Russians did attempt to interfere in that election by fabricating the Hunter Biden laptop hoax. Forgive me, guys. How could I forget that? The 51 intelligence experts who all came together to publicly dismiss that laptop as a clear sign of Russian disinformation and desperation to keep Donald Trump, their lackey, in the White House. Oh, thank heavens the deep state and the lackeys in the legacy media caught that attempt just in time before it could contaminate the single most pristine, immaculate election in the history of humanity. Forgive me, I stand corrected. Again, just to give you the latest of what's coming out here. Again, this just dropped actually within the hour of making this video. According to the latest polling from America's New Majority Project, Trump now has an astonishing 96% likelihood of winning the Electoral College, hitting that 270 mark. This after their national polling shows Trump with a 2-point lead. I mean, I think we now see why the deep state is freaking out. Their candidate is collapsing. And if you're the deep state, who better to blame for such a collapse than Russia, Russia, Russia?